launch day, and we are excited to be launching our book, Never Give Up. We have one of the authors joining us today, Susannah Dawn, and I'm excited to get to know her a little better and to share her story that's going to be part of this book. Hi, Susannah.
How's it going? It's great
Great,
to be a part
great.
of this.
I know this is such a great book. It's such a great topic, and this was a book that when we came up with the idea, so many people reached out and were like, "I have a story for this." So why don't you just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, and then we'll get into a little bit of your story.
So I'm a speaker and a writer, and a lot of what I focus on is the importance of moving beyond boxes, being our authentic selves. That's kind of my core message to talk, especially with other women, to sit back and say, you're so much more than what you think you are. You're so much more than whatever the box is that you've been put in by others or you put yourself in. And that's what I speak about it. I write about it. And um, I also have workshops that I do to include vision board workshops.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit more about the boxes and the concept of putting ourselves in a box, and how do you help people get themselves out of these boxes?
The thing about the boxes is when we get put in them, whether it's by others because of some aspect of ourselves or it's ourselves putting us in, like imposter syndrome. The way to start getting out is to first realize that you're in it. It's like sparking that awareness, having the light enter that box to ignite awareness, because our fears are what holds us back so much. And the more we listen to those fears, then when we try to look out beyond the box and see where we want to go, we end up seeing those grains of truth that fear weaves amongst its webs of lies. And so when you're looking out, you see the truths and you don't see the lies and you pull back. But when you're aware, when you know that this box you're stuck in, you're so much more than that. And yeah, there's things that maybe are worth being afraid of outside of the box, but that's minor compared to how much there is that you can be and do once you step outside of the box.
Yeah. Well, you talked a little bit about your vision board, and how does the vision board tap into this, and how does that work?
The vision board is a very intentional aspect. It's it's not just a collage and pictures and um, the girls' night doing arts and crafts. It really is much more intentional on getting into who you are, what is important to you, making sure that you understand aspects of yourself. So it's a combination of being internal and then, especially when doing it with groups, to allow people to bounce some of the ideas off of each other. And as these vision boards get created, as the ideas are created about the areas of our lives that we want to create these visions, then we can start putting the pictures together. It's all intentional. It's intentional on the words. It's intentional on the pictures. It's intentional on how it's designed. And there are certain pictures that really have to be there. And within that, I kind of have two vision boards because one is the big one that most people are used to, and it's not just an overnight thing. It's like a 6-hour process because you're intentional. And then I have a shorter one that's like 90 to 120 minutes that is really more of a power word. It focuses on that word that you can fall back on and intentionally finding that right word and having it there.
Yeah. Well, there's something about, having it, out in the world, having that vision board, having the words
Mhm.
there, the photos there, you see it, you feel it, you hear it. So I'd love that you do that. That's so awesome. So what made you say yes to be on a book called Never Give Up?
Part of that is just I'm a writer and I love writing. I have a memoir that's I call it my reinvention memoir is supposed to come out sometime after the first of the year, I believe now. And that was the first time when I wrote it just for the fun of it. It was the first time I started writing my story. And once I looked at this book, this project, it's taking that piece of my story to look at how I never gave up and understanding too when you write your story, whether you publish or whether you hold on to it, there can actually be healing aspects for the writer and there could be healing aspects for the reader.
Yeah, yeah, and I just kind of went through the same thing writing my chapter for this book. The emotions that came out as I was writing. Did you experience that too?
Yeah, there was it was emotional. The thing for me is because I'd already written so much, I kind of feel like I was lucky that there weren't quite as many. I went through a lot of the turbulence already, but there were still just figuring out how to start it, how to write it, and what I'm willing to write. That's where some of those emotions come in. It's picking and choosing what within you you're willing to put on paper to share with others.
Yeah. So the title of your book is She Has Always Been Here. You want
Mhm.
to talk a little bit about your story that you wrote? I mean, without giving too much away. Um,
Yeah, when I look at my story and I talk about it, one of the things is how for most of my life from an early age, I was told what I was, who I was, how I was supposed to be, how I was supposed to act. And m- in elementary school, the early years, I was bouncing and vibrant. I had friends. And once those kind of restraints were being put onto me, once I was being told what I am, who I am, that I had to be something that I knew I wasn't, then it was very hard to not give up. I was falling apart. I was losing my confidence. I got to the point where it was really to the point of being ready to give up.
mhm.
Yet something happened and I just found myself it's like I was just put into the place I needed to be where things started turning around. And once I started seeing that light, again, it's awareness. It's awareness that we're not having to stay stuck in a box. And when I saw that awareness, when I saw the light, then I started taking the steps and it's like, let the past go. I didn't give up and I got to the point where I could finally emerge from the box in my own blaze of glory.
Where do you think you found that never give up attitude from? Is it something that you think you were born with, or something you inherited? Is it just something inside of you?
I think for me, it was very much a piece of who I am. And another aspect for me is just faith has always been my foundation. So there was something in there. It's like I was allowed to go as low as I could go, yet when it was time, the doors started to open, and I, but in terms of my faith, it just got stronger as this process went. So I look at it as it's something that's always been there. Now it's was starting to blossom. It was time for it to grow.
Yeah, yeah, and I think our faith, our faith that helps us get through those dark times. It helps us through, uh, you know, things, challenging times that happen in our lives, and having that core, those core values, and that faith is what lifts us up. And then we're able to get out of it. And I know there've been a number of times in my life when I kind of felt like I was on this downward spiral, and I had no idea how I was going to get out. And so it's tapping into that faith, and saying, okay, what can I do to get out of this? Who can I connect with? What needs to be done? And like you said, the doors then start to open when that stuff happens. So I love that. So what do you want the readers to get out of this book when they read the book and ultimately read your chapter?
The thing that I would like to see people get out of it is you don't have to be stuck. You don't have to feel like there's no there's no escape routes, because there are. I believe we're all created with something in us that just keeps us going. And for too many people, they stop early. And it's like, just hold on that little bit longer, and you don't have to give up, because the doors start opening. The people start getting put in your life to help you find those doors, go through those doors, and to start leaving the past behind. And another piece of that for me was forgiveness. That was probably one of the most powerful things for me, was to forgive those that hurt me the most, that they were just the ones that, as long as I held on to that, I was stuck in the past. But once I started to forgive, I could let people go.
Yeah, yeah, and forgiveness is more about you than it is about them, so it's being able to let go, and to not dwell on uh the hurt anymore. So I
Exactly.
yeah, so exactly. So if you're interested in getting a copy of the book, Never Give Up, head on over to actiontakerspublishing.com/never. Be sure to pick up a paperback, get a Kindle version, and check out Susannah's story, and connect with her. And Susannah, thank you so much for being a part of this, for sharing your story in our book, and we appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much. It was a lot of fun doing this with you guys.